A quiet suburban house, a brutal crime, and a family's haunting escape. What truly happened inside 112 Ocean Avenue? This is the chilling tale of the Amityville Horror House, a story that has terrified millions for decades. Was it the site of a supernatural terror or just a house with a dark history? Let's step inside and uncover the mysteries, beginning with the tragic events that started it all. A dream home turned nightmare. It all began in 1974 in the quiet town of Amityville, New York. The house at 112 Ocean Avenue was an idyllic colonial-style home with a view of the canal, a cozy attic, and 6 bedrooms. To an outsider, it seemed like the perfect family home. But what happened inside its walls would shock the world. 1. The DeFeo family. The house was owned by the DeFeo family, who seemed like an ordinary, hard-working clan. Ronald DeFeo Sr., the stern father, lived with his wife Louise and their 5 children. Ronald Jr., Butch, Dawn, Allison, Mark, John Matthew. But beneath the surface, the DeFeo household was far from peaceful. Rumors of domestic tension, financial struggles, and Butch's erratic behavior painted a darker picture. The night of horror. On November 13, 1974, Amityville awoke to a horrifying crime. Ronald DeFeo Jr., the eldest son, ran into a local bar, shouting, "You've got to help me. My family's been shot." When police arrived at the house, they discovered a scene of unimaginable horror. The crime scene. The victims, all 6 family members, had been shot in their beds while they slept. No struggle. Strangely, there were no signs of a struggle. All the victims were found lying face down, as if placed there. The weapon, the murder weapon, was a .35 caliber rifle, and the shots had been fired at close range. But the most chilling question was, why didn't anyone hear the gunshots? Neighbors reported hearing nothing, and there were no signs of forced entry. The investigation and trial. 1. Butch's arrest. Initially, Butch claimed the murders were the work of a mob hitman. However, his story quickly unraveled under police questioning. Within days, he confessed to killing his family, claiming, "Once I started, I couldn't stop. It went so fast." 2. The motive. Butch's defense argued that he was driven by years of abuse from his father and possible drug use. But during his trial, something even more disturbing emerged. Voices in his head. Butch claimed he heard voices urging him to kill his family. 3. The conviction. In 1975, Butch was convicted of 6 counts of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. But the story doesn't end there. The Lutz family moves in. A year after the murders, the house was put up for sale. Enter the Lutz family, George, Kathy, and their 3 children. Despite its gruesome history, they purchased the house for a bargain price of $80,000. 1. Paranormal experiences begin. Within days of moving in, the Lutz family claimed they experienced strange phenomena. Unexplained odors, foul smells would waft through the house with no source. Cold spots. Certain rooms were unnaturally cold, even in the summer. Mysterious noises, doors slammed, footsteps echoed, and whispers were heard at night. 2. George's obsession. George Lutz became increasingly obsessed with the house. He claimed to wake up at 3:15 a.m. every night, the exact time of the murders. A house of horrors. The phenomena grew more intense as the days passed. Green slime. A mysterious green slime oozed from the walls and keyholes. Shadow figures. The family reported seeing shadowy figures lurking in the halls. The red room. In the basement, the Lutzes discovered a hidden room painted red, which didn't appear on the house's plans. The final straw. After just 28 days, the Lutz family fled the house, leaving all their belongings behind. They claimed they had been driven out by a malevolent force. But was their story real, or was it an elaborate hoax? In part 2, we'll delve into the investigations, skeptics' responses, and the media frenzy that turned the Amityville horror into a global phenomenon. Stay tuned as we uncover the chilling truth behind one of the most infamous haunted houses in history. The Lutz family's escape from 112 Ocean Avenue marked the beginning of a media storm that transformed the Amityville horror into a cultural phenomenon. But how much of their story was real, and how much was exaggerated for fame or fortune? In this chapter, we'll dive into the investigations, the skeptics' responses, and the legacy of the house that continues to terrify to this day. The Lutz family's terrifying testimony. After fleeing the house, the Lutz family shared their story with the world, claiming their experiences were too horrific to ignore. 1. The hauntings in detail. The Lutzes described phenomena that seemed straight out of a nightmare. The pig-like entity, Kathy Lutz, reported seeing glowing red eyes in the window, belonging to a pig-like creature named Jody. Levitating beds. The children's beds were said to rise off the ground during the night. Bizarre behavior. George became irritable and paranoid, spending hours stoking the fireplace as if compelled by an unseen force. 2. The Lutzes seek help. Desperate for answers, the Lutz family turned to paranormal paranormal investigators and clergy. A priest's blessing gone wrong. Father Mancuso, a priest who blessed the house, claimed to hear a voice demand, "Get out." He later reported falling ill and experiencing mysterious stigmata-like blisters on his hands. The media frenzy begins. The Lutz family's story caught the attention of the press, and soon, the Amityville Horror was a household name. 1. The book that started it all. In 1977, author J. Anson published The Amityville Horror, a true story, based on the Lutz family's accounts. The book became a bestseller, selling millions of copies. It detailed every chilling moment the Lutzes experienced, from shadowy figures to the infamous Red Room. The book's success spawned a media empire, including films, documentaries, and even a franchise of horror movies. 2. The first film adaptation. In 1979, The Amityville Horror hit theaters, solidifying the house's place in pop culture. The movie's eerie tagline, "For God's sake, get out," became iconic. Skeptics and controversies. Despite the popularity of the Amityville Horror story, skeptics quickly began to question its authenticity. 1. The DeFeo murders and paranormal theories. Some investigators suggested that residual energy from the DeFeo murders could explain the hauntings. Others argued that the house's dark past had been exaggerated to sell books and movies. 2. Discrepancies in the Lutz's accounts. Over time, inconsistencies in the Lutz family story emerged. Changing details, certain claims, like levitating beds, were never corroborated by witnesses. Motivations. Critics accused the Lutzes of fabricating the story to profit from the tragedy. 3. Legal battles. The controversy escalated when the Lutz family and others involved in the Amityville story faced lawsuits. Ronald DeFeo Jr., the convicted murderer, claimed the Lutzes had exploited his crime for financial gain. William Weber, DeFeo's defense attorney, alleged that he and the Lutzes had collaborated to fabricate the haunting. The paranormal investigations. Despite the skepticism, the Amityville Horror attracted some of the world's most famous paranormal investigators, including Ed and Lorraine Warren, the real-life demonologists behind the Conjuring series. 1. The Warrens' findings. The Warrens visited the house in 1976, conducting a seance and capturing eerie photographs. The boy with glowing eyes, a now famous photograph taken during their investigation, appears to show a spectral boy with glowing eyes peering from the staircase. The Warrens' verdict. Lorraine Warren described the house as one of the most terrifying cases of her career, claiming it was infested with a demonic presence. 2. Scientific explanations. Skeptics have offered alternative explanations for the phenomena. Environmental factors, drafty windows, old pipes, and the power of suggestion could account for strange noises and cold spots. Psychological influence. The house's violent history may have triggered heightened paranoia and fear in its residents. A house with a haunted legacy. As the story continued to grow, the Amityville house became a symbol of horror, attracting tourists, ghost hunters, and curiosity seekers. 1. The house today. Over the years, the house at 112 Ocean Avenue has been sold multiple times. Name and address changes. The address was changed to deter tourists, and some owners have reported no paranormal activity at all. Renovations. Renovations to the house, including removing its distinctive eye windows, have done little to dim its infamous reputation. 2. The franchise lives on. The Amityville Horror franchise has expanded to include over 20 films, cementing its place as a cornerstone of the horror genre. Unanswered questions. Even after decades of investigations and debates, the Amityville Horror remains an enigma. Was it all a hoax? The Lutzes maintained that their experiences were real, but skeptics remain unconvinced. Is the house still haunted? Subsequent owners have reported no activity, leaving the question of the hauntings unresolved. Why does the story endure? Whether real or fictional, the Amityville Horror taps into our primal fears of the unknown and the unseen. In Part 3, we'll explore how the Amityville Horror story continues to captivate audiences, the psychological impact of haunted houses, and the deeper cultural significance of this enduring mystery. The story of the Amityville Horror is more than just a tale of ghosts and ghouls. It's a phenomenon that has transcended time and genre. From books and movies to urban legends and conspiracy theories, the events at 112 Ocean Avenue have left an indelible mark on our collective imagination. But why does this story endure, and what does it reveal about our fascination with the supernatural? In this final chapter, we'll examine the cultural impact of the Amityville Horror, the psychological power of haunted house stories, and the lessons we can draw from this chilling saga. The power of a haunted house. Haunted houses have long been a staple of folklore and storytelling, symbolizing the darker corners of the human psyche. But the Amityville Horror stands apart because it feels so real. 1. The relatability of the setting. A suburban nightmare. Unlike remote castles or decaying mansions, the Amityville house was a typical suburban home, making the horror feel closer to reality. The American dream gone wrong. The house represented safety and prosperity, which made its descent into terror all the more or unsettling. 2. The fear of the unknown. The Amityville story taps into primal fears of the unseen and the unexplained. Whether it's shadowy figures or unexplained noises, the idea of being haunted in your own home is universally terrifying. The Amityville franchise, a cultural juggernaut. The Amityville horror has grown far beyond its origins, spawning a multimedia empire that continues to thrive. 1. The books. J. Anson's original book, published in 1977, the book sold millions of copies and introduced the story to a global audience. Sequels and spin-offs. Numerous follow-up books have explored different aspects of the story, from the DeFeo murders to the Lutz family's ordeal. 2. The films. The original film, 1979, a box office success that cemented the story's place in pop culture. Remakes and spin-offs. Over 20 films have been made, ranging from direct adaptations to loosely inspired tales. 3. Documentaries and TV specials. Shows like Ghost Adventures and the Amityville Horror Tapes have kept the story alive, offering new angles and theories. The psychological impact of haunted stories. The Amityville Horror isn't just entertainment, it's a mirror reflecting our deepest fears and desires. 1. Why do we love being scared? Adrenaline and excitement. Horror stories trigger our fight-or-flight response, giving us a rush of adrenaline in a safe environment. Exploring the unknown, they allow us to confront mysteries and questions that have no easy answers. 2. The role of belief. Skepticism versus faith. The Amityville story divides audiences into believers and skeptics, sparking debates that keep the story alive. The power of suggestion. Psychologists argue that belief in the paranormal can heighten perceptions of strange events, making hauntings feel real. Lessons from the Amityville Horror. The story of the Amityville Horror offers more than just scares. It provides insights into human nature, society, and the enduring power of storytelling. 1. The danger of sensationalism. The media frenzy surrounding the Amityville Horror shows how easily facts can blur with fiction, creating myths that persist for decades. 2. The value of critical thinking. The controversies and lawsuits surrounding the story remind us to question extraordinary claims and seek evidence. 3. The timelessness of fear. At its core, the Amityville Horror is a story about fear, fear of the unknown, fear of losing control, and fear of confronting dark truths. A mystery that endures. Decades after the Lutz family fled 112 Ocean Avenue, the Amityville Horror remains an unsolved mystery. Whether you believe it was a hoax, a haunting, or a mix of both, one thing is clear: the story has captured the world's imagination like few others. Was it real? The debate continues to rage, with new theories and evidence emerging regularly. Why does it endure? The story's mix of true crime, the supernatural, and psychological horror ensures its lasting appeal. What's next? As new generations discover the Amityville Horror, its legacy will likely continue to grow. What do you think? Was the Amityville Horror a genuine supernatural event, or was it an elaborate hoax? Let me know your thoughts, and thank you for joining me on this deep dive into one of history's most chilling tales. Until next time, stay curious and maybe leave the lights on tonight.